and I am based in Stockholm, and I'm here now because we are finalizing a game about local politics in Belarus. How does local democracy work? That's the game. And I work with participatory culture, so making people do things together in different ways. And I've been running a small company on this topic for around 10 years. And the projects we carry out, they can be fairly different. Some are online, some are offline, some are a little bit in between. The most successful case we have done on the crowdsourcing thematic is a house club network that we call Lunchbeat. And it started out as a very simple idea that we wanted to dance a little bit on the lunch break. So we went down in our basement under our office and we played music and had raps. And because we didn't like how many people go training on the lunches in Stockholm anyway. And then they have a leader in the front and everybody does the same. I hate it. I don't want everybody to do the same. It's silly. We wanted sort of something that felt a little bit more like us, and the house club was much better. And people started to like this very much. So first time we were only 12 people in the garage. Next time everybody almost brought a friend. This is really cool. We're dancing in this garage. So we were 24, and a couple of times later, a couple of months, we had 600 people coming. So it was like boom, 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 and it started 12 o'clock and it ended at 1 o'clock, and that's it. And then you went back to work, and it gained very much media attention. Especially one time, I remember this was very crazy. They called us up from the royal castle and said, "Couldn't you host one of your lunch beats at our place?" And we said, "Yeah, that sounds very nice. We will do it." But then there were limitations. You could only be 100 people in this room because of protection. And we had so many journalists who wanted to come. There were 80 accredited journalists and only 20 people who were actually there. And there was even a journalist coming from Japan just to film. So this spread very much. And so there have been lunch beats in over 300 cities in the world where people have gone clubbing on the lunch. So that spread very well. And it's of course thanks to the digital viral things where videos spread and so on. But the strong and the reason why it spread, I think, I don't know, but I think it's a story. Because we built the whole lunch beat on the film Fight Club. So we took everything from Fight Club, but just rewrote it into, instead of beating each other up in the basement, it was dancing together in the basement. But everything was the same. They had a manifesto, and it had sort of really copy of that. And I think that worked because people recognized, they understood, secret society, blah, blah, blah. It has to be a little, that sort of triggered some spark.
Belong to something.
It belonged to something a little bit unique. And
brilliant.
So I think the story was the core. And I often think the story is the core to why such things take off. But we also run then a crowdfunding platform called Crowd Culture, which we have been running since 2009. And crowdsourcing is very much like in this film or in this book by Jonathan Swift with Gulliver traveling around the world. Even though the people are very small, together they can do something that was not seen as possible. And this has been done, of course, throughout history, many, many times. It's just that we do certain aspects of it in a digital world now. But many tasks that have been carried out, like building roads and so on, has been crowdsourced labor. And I think a good way, as I showed a little bit earlier, a good way to view crowdsourcing is this way, and this is how I believe crowdsourcing. Crowdsourcing is sort of the core of things. It's about if we look at this word, it is split into two. It's a crowd and it's a sourcing. And sourcing comes from management terminology. You can have single sourcing. If you have let's say a restaurant that you are promising a certain food, certain quality of food, you say it's only from this farm that the meat comes from. Though the customer is certain that there's a unique link there. Whilst in the factory you would normally want multiple sourcing, because if we have a spoon factory and we are pressing this spoon, we want to have multiple deliveries of material so that the machine doesn't stop. So we do multiple sourcing. And we could have outsourcing, that's putting your production into another country, like China is doing to Belarus right now when they are building their industrial park outside of Minsk. Then China is outsourcing certain parts of their industrial work to here, which is really funny because normally we talk about outsourcing to China. So it's really some kind of power game changing here. That's fascinating in a way.
Belarus is the second China.
Yes. Yeah, and crowdsourcing is just then following this track, while crowd here, instead of being a single source or multiple source, it is an unknown group of people addressed through the internet. That's the main concept. And then this can be targeted into many different aspects. Like for example, if you are working with collective knowledge build-up, like on Wikipedia, that is a crowdsourced knowledge work. Whereas one person maybe is good at ants or society building insects. Another person is good at grammar, and the third one on pedagogy. And they can, without knowing each other, just by their username of course, they can collaborate and create a great article. So we are using crowdsourcing as a tool when we are building Wikipedia. But also you could do community build-up work, gathering people around certain topics, like we did with the lunch beat. We had a community where the arrangers that was a bit more invested more time in this and arranged clubs in different cities. They had their own group where they exchanged ideas and mixtapes and so on. So that was a small community, even though the most people that visited the lunch beats never was part of the community. They were just visitors having fun. And crowdfunding is another aspect of the crowdsourcing, where you are then collecting money from unknown individuals through the internet. And very often, projects who mix these things get very successful. It's hard to be crowdfunding something that in the end has a single sourcing logic, because that won't sort of mix with, I think the logics will crash. So that's why it's a little bit hard for in some cases anyway, for a large corporation that is working with classical intellectual property rights and so on to do crowdfunding, because you see that you are only feeding the owners who might be a hedge fund or an institutional owner. So it's easier to crowdfund things that are slightly open, because then people feel that they are co-owning the thing. So they do collide in some way. And open innovation is a fourth element of this, where maybe a company, instead of using its own R&D department, the research and development, they are going to a more open way to attract people. Now, and crowdfunding could be divided into subcategories, where you have the reward-based crowdfunding, which is the thing that we most often connect with crowdfunding. So if you give me 10 euros in this project, you will have your name on the web page. Or if you give 20 euros, you will get a t-shirt. So you are collecting the funds, but you are giving some kind of reward back. And you could also have donations, that you are not giving something back. We will get back to that. And then there is peer-to-peer lending, that you are actually lending money that you are promising to pay back. But instead of lending from the bank, you are lending from a group of people. And it has been used a lot by mid-sized companies in Germany, I know, because they might have low rating at the bank, but the community around where their business is still thinks they are important because they maybe employ people, so they are ready to lend them money so that they can develop, even though the bank doesn't trust that they would. And then we have crowd equity, when you sell shares in your company, which I personally don't believe very much in, because I think it's, when you have a startup, it's good to have control. I wouldn't personally want to have someone I don't trust as part of my owner group in the early stage. And then the last way of doing it is revenue shares, saying that if you put money into this project and it goes with plus numbers, you will get parts of the revenue. This has been done in films many times, very successfully, where you have said that if this movie will get cinema distribution, it will earn money, and you get a percentage of this. That's been fairly well received. So I did a study together with 2 German people on different type of successful campaigns to see what different type of reward mechanisms worked for different projects. So I decided if the campaign that had been successful had a financial goal, that they wanted to in some way raise capital to do something. If they had a market goal, they wanted to test a product on the market. Or if they had social goals, though it was not market oriented, but something that had some greater good. And you can see that, not very surprisingly, different methods suit different goals very well. It's really hard to get donations to something that has a financial goal. And it's, of course, it's rather evident that it is like that. You say, I want to invest in this thing, just give me money, and you will get the gains. That's very hard to match, whilst donations will be easy to do for social goals. If you have financial goals, you will probably need loans or equity, so that people feel that if I'm investing, I get something back. While the market-driven things, of course, pre-sales of the thing, that I want to do this app, and we will launch this app in 6 months, but you pay now. So we are pre-selling the app, and you will get it then. That's the most common way of doing crowdfunding at the moment. And in my sector, which is most often the cultural sector, we are somewhere in between market and social goals. It's a moving scale here. So let's say you are doing a theater about some kind of psychological health problem. Okay, you might be able to get donations from people who are really interested in this issue, but you will also need to pre-sell tickets. So say, you buy now and we will make the performance in 4 months. And rewards works very well also. So, and very many of the campaigns I come across, they are somewhere in between market and social goals. And if you are in between, let's say, a social and a financial goal, that might be, for example, that you are building a solar panel farm for your village, so that people want to co-invest in that we get these solar panels because we can lower our electricity costs. then you can probably do some kind of social loan. That is, they lend you the money, but you don't pay back interest, because they have an interest in getting these solar panels. And if you are somewhere in between financial goals and market goals, for example, a film production, as I mentioned earlier on, these revenue share models might be very good approach. All right, so that's just to see what type of rewards should you work with depending on what your goal is. The more interesting part of this is what kind of psychological drivers people have for the different methods. But I'll get back to that in a moment. Because why do these rewards? Well, they have different functions, of course. One is to involve people in the process, that they get co-ownership. They have shipped in some money. They want to see this product be realized. They could be beta testers. They could be shipping in time also, or they could do many things, of course, depending on what the project is. Well, it's mostly about this involvement thing. That's why you want to give the rewards, because they can show the brand on the t-shirt, or they can, you incentivize them to support the project. I will skip this one and look at if a project has social goals. Why is it that people invest in this? So in this little study I did, I asked the people who had pledged, who had given money to the project, why they gave money. They didn't know of how I had defined this, that if it had social goals or financial goals. I only asked them why they donated or invested, or what drove them to do it. And those who had social goals, the most common aspect was that they had personal experience of that social goal. So let's say they donated to some kind of cancer-related research issue. It was because a child, themselves, or a parent had cancer. Or that they had someone in the family with psychological unhealth or so on. That was the strongest things. The second was to do a difference. They felt that their donation had a real impact, and that the campaign they were giving to communicated that their donation mattered to them. Many expressed a will to do something active, that they were part of something. That's why they donated. The fourth one was self, to be seen, so that they got their name somewhere or so, that they were sort of, that they could be connected to this. And the fifth most important was idealism, that they thought this was good because of it was good. And this was a falling scale. And it changed dramatically. When you looked at the market goals. The most important thing, and this surprised me a lot when I did it, was that people gave money to this because of entertainment value. And this I had not really understood before.
So the entertainment, you mean from the process of donating?
No, that the campaign was fun. They saw the campaign as part of an entertainment. Like, wow, this is really funky, cool, wow, it blew my mind. Can it be like that? I have to give something to this.
Do you mean fundraising campaign?
Yes, the fundraising campaign itself was entertaining. That was the strongest driver. When they had market goals. This was not even on the map when it was social goals. No one mentioned entertainment value.
So it depends completely on advertising agency.
Yes.
The more fun the campaign, the more money you raise.
Yeah, but exactly. But you don't need to do an entertaining campaign if you have social goals. Then you don't need to care about that. But here you really need to do something that.
Well, So we have two corners, sadness, joy.
But there are example
What will be the third one?
of maybe not crowdfunding campaign, but like flash mob of ice bucket challenge. It was something about maybe social, or but also it was fun. It was connected to part. But I think a lot of people do not donate. They just cold water.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good example of a. It was a crowdfunding campaign, of course, with social values that had entertainment inside it, and it was very successful. So I don't think you should rule it out. This is what people say, but you are right. We shouldn't listen too carefully to people. We should watch what they do instead.
Yeah.
Hello. Welcome.
Hello, welcome. I'm sorry for to be away.
No,
Just
Wait, use some place.
but and the second strongest driver was that the campaign sparked curiosity. So you felt inspired by seeing it. The third was that it sort of played with your identity. You felt identified with the campaign. This was me. Empathy for the project owner was the fourth strongest, and idealism again, fifth strongest. Okay, so when we switch over to those with financial goals, yeah. Oh. Wait, maybe we come back to this. No, I removed that. Okay, I removed it. With financial goals, the strongest driver was that you would have a good return on investment. So it's nothing different than when you invest in when you put your money in the bank. You want the highest interest rate for your money. That's why you're lending your money to the bank. So that, and then they invest it somewhere, and you want to have the highest possible return. And this was no difference. But there were, among the top 5, there was the possibility to be a co-owner in a startup. People felt that was fun or cool, that it sort of had some transformative potential, instead of having their money in a huge company. So that's basically what I found out when doing this study. So what does it tell us?
Can I ask how many people you asked in this research?
It was around 500 people that gave answer. No, around.
So and you search it in some platforms. How you find?
Yes,
them?
it was only, this was, since we don't have enough material in Sweden to do such a study, it is done in Germany on platforms, 3 German platforms that was kind enough to sort of give the contact information to those who had pledged to campaigns. So it was done on those.
So I think we should our own research about people who donate, why they do this.
Yeah, I think it's been very few studies done. There is many studies being done on crowdfunding for the moment, because it has had such an impact and so much talk about it. But very few people look on the drivers of those who pledge. They are more interested in why people create campaigns, what makes a campaign successful. But I think it's very much more interesting to look at those individuals who are actually contributing. And since you have direct contact with them through the platform, it's a very good chance to look at that. Because it might be this there might be cultural differences. I don't know. So it would be very interesting to know.
But we have a little bit different platform. We have maybe the big goal of platform mission is to make Belarus better, and maybe our target audience a little bit different. So it's interesting to research and give our authors to understand of audience. I think it will be very useful for new authors who only are thinking about starting their campaigns.
Yes.
But in common, I know something about that. It was about my thinking about audience. It's a new type of marketing. It must be fun. Or when we speak with authors, we say the thing, you must give emotion. And there are different ways to give emotion. You can give emotion by showing someone who needs help, it's empathy, or something fun, it's another type of emotion. But if you raise emotional level, then you can make a sale. It's just about sales, how it works. Emotion sells.
Yeah, that is, it does. And then we tried to do for this project I told about called Lunchbeat. We tried to do a crowdfunding campaign for that because we had such a strong following and so on, but it really didn't work. It was a complete failure.
And what was the target of for what you need money?
Well, we wanted to do a connected Lunchbeat in 21 cities, so that we would have video streaming from all cities at the same time. So to one hub where we got a stream out of this, but all cities dancing at the same time, and that you could use that stream if you were in a smaller city. That was what we wanted to do. Maybe it was a bit too boring.
Maybe, but it's more interesting that there are how to call часовые пояса, time zones. There are cities in different time zones, so it's Lunchbeat through the world.
That would have been cool.
It's more ambitious.
Yeah, that's true. But we did it on that direction. So we had Cape Town, Berlin, Stockholm, but we managed to do it anyways because there was another organization that was interested in us doing this. So they paid us to do it anyways. So we didn't need the crowdfunding in that case.
It's also sometimes when people start crowdfund campaign and nobody donate them, but the big sponsor came and give, okay, here your money. It's some kind of successful finish of campaign that's failed as crowdfunding.
Yes, and what you do, well, in Sweden, this is my experience anyway, of how all culture in Sweden is almost state funded. Now, in some way you have grants from the government, either on local level, regional level, or national level. So everybody who is a cultural producer is an expert in writing applications. They're really, really good at writing them. And the public grant givers, they always have some kind of agenda. They want to have gender diversity, or ethnic pluralism, or they might have different things. So you are expert in writing how you are meeting these goals. But you are less good at writing for an audience to be interested. So what the crowdfunding for many cultural producers in Sweden does is that it forces you to think of why is this interesting for the audience and not the grant giver. And this is very difficult for a Swedish cultural producer to sort of switch their mind. And I guess this is very different depending on what country you are in, because in some countries you have very little governmental funding for arts, and in others you have a lot. Like in the US, they have very little governmental funding for art. So I guess American cultural producers must be very good at talking to their audience. And the country in Europe, which is the two countries that are the best in doing crowdfunding, is Spain and Holland. And both of them have had economical crisis in the public grant system for arts. Spain had this economic collapse, but a very professional cultural sector. So people started to use crowdfunding very early on and did really good campaigns. And in Holland they cut public grants with 40% between one year and another. So the competition became, of course, much higher, but they also had a very professionalized cultural sector, so many people started using crowdfunding as a tool. We have not had that. We didn't have those big cuts in the financial crisis. So we didn't have the same shift as in some countries. But I still think for many the difficult task is this switch of perspective. Why is it fun for the audience to be part of this? Or why is it interesting or important or independently of what emotion actually? With some emotion.
Yes, it's more options to put attention when you plan crowdfunding campaign, because it's better works if you target different points and gather more audience. Someone wants entertainment, someone wants to be a part of, and so on. Or 3 or 2 triggers for one. Okay, it's entertaining, it's makes me part of, or it's enough for me to make decision to help this campaign. It's good information.
And I think in your case, we are doing a babysitter marketplace where you are matching someone who is demanding a babysitter and someone who wants to be a babysitter. You have 2 unknown factors. This is your difficult task. You don't have a pool of babysitters, and you don't have the people who are wanting to have this. So this is the big challenge, of course, because when you have many babysitters in every part of the city, and you have many people, then it's easy. Then it will just work by itself, and people will find and so on. But until this moment, when you have this critical mass, it's really tricky. I think the most important case in such an example is to solve one of the sides. So either to have the high demand of babysitters, then babysitters will come, or to have babysitters in all the parts of the city, so that anyone who comes inside can say, I can solve my problem. And because with both unknown, it's very hard, because then you will come in as a wanting to have a babysitter, and you see, there is only babysitters in the other side of the city or in that city, not where I am. And then you will not provide a good result. You will have someone who is rather disencouraged by, it didn't work. So before launching it, you should have solved one of these things, and probably the easiest is to have ready babysitters everywhere. And you can say, is there a babysitter in my part of the city? Yes. Is it someone I could trust? Okay, so how do we solve the trust issue is the second step. Then you will resolve that.
Really, now in this situation is that we made a job offer on the Minsk site of job searching, and for 1 week we had feedback from maybe more than 100 babysitters. Yeah, a lot of people want to do this. Because a lot of women, for example, after birth their own baby, have no work, and they just want to have some real money, just right now. And
it's very similar to Airbnb, which of course you know very well.
Absolutely.
Because that's the issue of trust to let someone into your house. And you will have, of course, the same challenge. That someone is coming into your house. And they solved it. Very much thanks to connecting it to the Facebook profile, I guess. I think that was important. The transparency there. And the social rating mechanism. Okay, so this is the part you point for the conversation. Yeah.
Okay, so questions, discussions.
Can I ask you one?
Yes.
I have a question actually to one, because I know that Talaka has that crowdfunding programs only with some gifts for people who paid. Yeah, only that.
But if you don't want to give something, you can just write, okay, I give you thank you, or
Okay.
give you 10 more thank yous for your money.
Okay, I understand. It's possible.
It's
Yeah.
for your you can give certificates to use your service or just create something for this model to
Okay.
give people something.
First hour with babysitter for free.
Yeah, but those kind of things are, of course,
But
very good.
If you think that there are more than 100 just per week women that wanted to become a babysitter, you can send them a link that let's crowdfund for creating a platform where you can find a job.
Give free hours for babysitting and make our own platform.
Yes.
And be more in rating of babysitters, make a real experience in new system. And so
Well, unfortunately, babysitting is not a career. It is just a
but
part of the time, just a time frame of
But-
a small baby in your house, and you are going to be a babysitter for this part of your life,
If you put
never for the rest of your days.
a vacation for 1 month, you can receive 500 suggestions, and then if from these 500, just 10% give you a little bit of money, you can count it. So it's a tricky.
Well, if you receive the money you're going to raise for this, whatever, what are you going to do? A website? How?
Yes, nutrition.
I can. There's a lot of things I could say if someone is interested. One thing I have experienced being a good departure point for the crowdfunding campaign is that I made a little paper where it's two-sided. On one side, it's divided into 3 parts. It's the reward, the film, and the campaign. And one thing to think a lot about is that, okay, the rewards should be in different levels to sort of target different groups, because there are different people who want to have a t-shirt and want to support the idea, and others who want babysitting as a service. And these can be completely different people, because there are some people that think it's really cool that it's a startup done by 2 Belarusian women who take the tech sector, and that is really cool. I want to support that. But there are others who want to have the service of babysitting. So they want to have different rewards, and they are ready to pay different things. So you need to have a mix of things. And you have to think of who is the closest to us. They could maybe support this, but then there might be indirect supporters of your campaign. Like, for example, these who are interested in women in technology, which is a group that you maybe not think of first, but they do exist. So you have to go back and forth and think about what target group gets what reward, so that you have reward for all target groups, and then setting a price on them, because some rewards will cost you money. That producing the t-shirt will include a cost, and you might have to send them by mail because they are physical packages, so that you don't go negative numbers on your rewards and include all the costs, because then you will see what the benefit of the campaign is. Is it actually driving enough return to us? And in some cases, it might be that you want to go plus minus 0 in the campaign, because you might have another investor inside, and this campaign is only to create awareness, but you don't want it to cost. This depends, of course, on your purpose. So So back and forth and looking at what happens with the economy in the campaign as we develop it. And then thinking about a very simple video, no longer than 2 minutes, which has 5 scenes in it. And I think it's good to start in medias res. We start straight into the action. What does this do? And then after you said what you're doing, it's very easy in your case. We want to create a meeting place for people who have babies and those who want to be babies. It's very straightforward and good idea in that way. And then you tell about who you are, why should we trust you? Are you the right person to do this thing? And then giving some example of what you have done before, maybe, so that you can see, this is trustworthy. And then telling something about what will this change in society or in your life, or something, what the benefit of this are, and then some kind of call to action in the end. So, okay, if you want to see this become realized, what should you do? Go in on Talaka.by and donate 50,000 or whatever it could be. So that's the simple storyline of that. And then start to plan your campaign. And a campaign normally looks the same. You have a lot of attention in the beginning, when you have the energy and people are sharing this thing, and you start to get a bit of donations, and you would like to get to 20% of your financial goal within the first week, so that there is some kind of positive psychology. This is not dead. You see, this is a live thing, something is happening. And then people will be easier convinced that, okay, it's not, if I also add something to this, it will bring something. Then normally, in the middle of the campaign, it flattens out. There is nothing happening. No, people are not giving anything. And then it comes closer to the end, and then people who are invested in the early stages see that, oh, we are over 50%, but there needs more people. So then they get inclined to also share the campaign, because so you need to communicate with those who gave money early, that now we're getting closer to the goal, but we are not really there. Could you help us spread it? And then we will, because they have already invested, so they are there. They will help you. And then you hopefully reach your goal of 100% or more. So then you need to do a campaign plan, so that you have something to share every second day. And you don't, when I did my last campaign, I didn't know exactly, of course, what I would share, but I knew that this day I need to share something, and maybe it can be connected to the news flow, so that it is something about, this artist just got a baby, and she signed up to have a babysitter, blah blah blah, something, it could be a little bit whatever, but you need these activities. And one thing that is very good often is to have some kind of small launching party. We did a campaign to build arcade games for gallery environments, to show sort of artistic games. And then we did a 8-bit party where we had this kind of computer game music and so on. 80 people coming, which was a successful party, and everybody shared this campaign. They thought it was cool to be there at the party, and we want to see these arcade games become reality. So it's not only about digital distribution, it's also about sort of having physical things in connection to it. But when you have filled such a little paper out and seen, okay, we have rewards that are coherent with the target groups, we have a storyline that works, and we have some ideas about what we will do during the campaign, then you are ready to start. And then I added in the end here 3 boxes. That the first box is, yes, I want to tell others about my campaign. Because many people have, this is my Swedish experience, they like it when they apply to a governmental grant, because they send an application and then you can wait, because someone is working with my application. and you don't want to tell anyone about it before they say yes, because if they so many people are used to not being this. Okay, so you have to say yes. I want to talk to people about what I do. And then the second one is, yeah, I have time to do it. Because that is
Get real.
we can actually send something every second day and so on. Okay, we are honest to ourselves. And then the last thing is that I know what the budget is. Because far too many miss out on looking at, okay, maybe they go negative numbers on the campaign, or so you really have to understand that this is also an investment from your side of time and so on. And you know how this works. And that is just for your own protection. So when you have crossed those three boxes, go for it.
Now in Talaka we didn't have like such forms, but in communication we also talk about. Okay, I count now. We talk that you should understand who is your audience. That is start, because a lot of people think that they just start crowdfund and somebody give them money. If
Yes.
you do not understand who give you money, why he give you money, it doesn't work. Second, you should plan your PR campaign. Think what media ready to help you, who is your partners, how you put your messages in media and so on. Next, you should think how you work with community. You said you should make a start party or
Or something.
in different projects or campaigns it may be different. So if it's some musician who crowdfund for new album, they can make a lot of free concerts or something like free. It's for other people it's maybe such kind of flash mobs or just community, maybe brainstorming how we move our campaign to next step and so on. And
Because those who want to go in a flash mob, they might be very good at spreading your message, even though they don't maybe have any money. But they would like, so people can get, the target group can be involved for different reasons.
yes, and we will say that during the campaign you should be on the connected with your audience to inform it how it goes and so on, and you should think how you do this. You make a small public in social media or maybe another way. So, and what about video? In our campaigns, we didn't say that it's exactly it's necessary for all, because we understand that people on our platform are not so professional to make a really good video. And the other factor that internet not so fast in Belarus, and not a lot of people are ready to watch video during the work on mobiles and so on.
No, but then maybe you could have just a picture, that is good.
Yes, we said that you should have picture and story not in video, but story you should have to say people, to answer people this question, why they should trust you, what are you doing, and other questions.
We can see, and this, it might, as you say, with the internet speed and so on, it can be very different.
Maybe expensive internet,
Yeah.
not about speed, because we're not so rich country.
No, but we can see that, but and this might be very different as you are saying, but 80% of the successful crowdfunding campaigns has a video. But on the other hand,
80% on
20%.
Kickstarter.
Yeah, on Kickstarter, yeah.
And also we talk with some Belarusian guys who crowdfund on Kickstarter.
Ah.
They have successful campaigns, And okay, one campaign we have a good video, good promo rolik from a movie and so on. And another said, I have only screenshots from my game.
Mhm.
And it was enough. And for some projects, screenshots are better
Yeah,
than.
I agree. No, it's very much up to the project. It's hard to say.
But we still think that yes, video a little bit more emotional. It's catch the audience and make them do the right decision. It's better than text. Then you can start, can stop it, or lose your attention, and video more catchy if you think
Yeah.
about it.
I have a question. The last square budget. Do you mean no, the last one?
This, yes.
The budget. Do you mean budget for campaign of spreading your idea, or budget itself as a project?
No, I mean.
Big budget of.
I mean actually, I mean budget as a concept. That you are a little bit just aware of what you are doing with the economy.
Yeah. Okay.
Because sometimes we can have very young people who are applying who has not really thought of that they actually going into a commitment, and if they are promising things that are a little bit, will this part of the budget they get from the campaign actually fulfill the promise that they are doing? So it's just to sort of start some kind of mental regulation on what happens in the connection of the campaign and the bigger project that you want to do.
May I ask a question? Maybe it as well to Ivan about projects, kind of projects and potential support. So I took a look on, for example, Talaka or My Sense, and I found that maybe separately artists they can find interest to their creation, but if you're thinking about creating wide festival, music cultural festival, so it could be could have interest from potential donation, and how to increase the interest, because here is not to one person artist's talent.
Okay, the first question about can you crowdfund for your festival? Yes?
Yes.
I understand correctly?
Mhm.
Yes, maybe, but if we look at experience, there are maybe some kind of roof of budget, because the most successful campaign are raised only 60 million or something like that. But now campaigns are running, they have upper budget, about 20 million. So you should understand that it's not so easy to raise so much money. It's a first comment, and the second, what can you repeat?
And the second is
How to-
consequence. Yes, maybe how to privilege, how to attract attention to festival organizer.
But, I could answer and also comment the answer on the first question, because when you're talking about festival, it's quite similar than if you just making a festival and selling your tickets. But it is like pre-selling. You can sell tickets to your festival that you haven't prepared yet. But it depends if you receive enough money on a few factors, and one of them is can people trust you that it really will be.
Yes.
And the second one is it really interesting festival. So if you will do it without crowdfunding, will you receive enough money?
No,
From
here is a problem. So I meant when was my first question is maybe festival organizers' idea is to to create a place where to give the possibility to open different talents of different artists. And it's not possible to attract attention to everybody's talent. So here is maybe a need to show some reward of organizer. Yes, maybe some recommendation or something like this.
Eugen is right that it's the same like a sales. You just sell tickets. And if you do something good, people are ready to buy tickets and visit. So if you do something that you are not sure that people pay and come, then crowdfunding fail also.
No. Here is okay. It's probably a very wide topic. So I will now maybe give a possibility to speak with.
No, but what I would do is, because I agree, festivals is pre-sales. What I would do is probably put stretch goals. So that's saying that, okay, if we get, and we have talked to one artist, okay, if we reach this goal, this one will play. If we reach this goal, we will also bring blah blah blah. And if we reach this goal, we will bring this. And then put, of course, someone that is more attractive a little bit higher up on the stair. And to have them already that, we will be playing there, blah, 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 you can come. And then they see that, you have to, and many people want to see them, but they will have to pass by some other thresholds to reach this, what's attractive. That would be like the base strategy, I think.
Yeah,
the base.
You should find a headliner who attracts people, and other will be the
yes,
bonus.
Maybe you're right.
And it's some kind donation from headliner. He must believe in your goal, or like other people. They should think that it's a good idea to give talents a chance to be heard. We do Talaka.by, you know it? Talaka.by музичний цех. It's all this billboard. So we have some headliners like Ili, Polina Respublika. Also in the fest we have J-Mars also, but they go when they have conflict of time.
So you think just using this item, headliner, it's the best way to attract to one festival?
It's one way. Another way, we also tested on our party, we make a competition from young artists. And you can make also competition. Who bring the more audience, they have a chance to get on the stage.
Good idea, yes.
So they work on you, they promote your campaign and so on.
So you will sure that there will be people who are interested in your young artist.
Or who can make marketing for themselves. So it's also competition not only in museum talented, but also in promoting themselves and so on. So it's also for you will be the profit from this competition.
But I have one aspect of it, I will try it on you and see, because I remember some years back, I was thinking very much, what is the best thing to do? Try to do one big campaign where you you use your network and try to get the money, or to do multiple campaigns that are close in time. And I had decided for myself that it is better to try to do one campaign. But then I came across a Dutch project that made me change my mind very much about this. It was in the suburbs of Amsterdam, and they were kids, and they wanted to do a performance thing. And they needed not so much, it was like around 100, 200 euros, because they needed to rent a PA system for. And it was someone at the youth, it was some kind of youth club, and there was an older person at the youth club, some kind of guide. They said, well, shouldn't you try to do a crowdfunding campaign for this? And they said, okay, let's do it. And they did the campaign, and they succeeded in getting their 100 euros. And they rented the thing and did the concert immediately. And they said during the concert that we want to go to the city center of Amsterdam and perform, and we want you to help us. And you have already given us money, so we don't think you should do it. But did you like what you heard? Can't you share our new campaign? We put it online now, and people are listening. It was very few people. Okay, we will do it. And they did it, and they went into Amsterdam, did the same thing, and they said in Amsterdam, we want to go to Rotterdam to do a concert. Can't you help us? And they put it out, and they had a tour with more people than themselves, and they went to Rotterdam and did this thing. And as their fourth campaign, they did it on Kickstarter and said, we want to go to the US to perform our thing. And they managed to collect the money to fly over and do their concert. And I found it so fascinating how they did this really short campaign with rather low goals, and they increased the goals a little bit all the time.
You need a lot of kids for your project. Just a lot of kids. And any project
Kids, cats, and boobs.
Yeah, but these were not really kids, they were teenagers, like 18, 19. But still, how they trained themselves in being their own sort of producers whilst doing this. They were super professional. At campaign number 4, it was really slick, well produced, and the first one was quite crappy, but it didn't matter because they practiced so much. It was brilliant how they did that.
But I think it depends, because someone told me that there was the slavery
Research.
Yeah, research in Russia probably, that on some project, that any next campaign, crowdfunding campaign, they receive less and less. So
this is what I was looking at as well, similar things, that it seemed to be that, but I do think it's about how you approach it. Because we have one woman at our platform that has done most campaigns, she has done 6 campaigns, and they have all been successful. And she does this early, she is a short film maker. She makes a campaign in early stage of the film, and then one in the late stage of the film. And then she starts a new short film, and she does the same thing. And she funds, she has several hundred supporters now. In the first campaign she had very few. I think it depends.
But I remember, because probably that about what you're talking about, it's about different projects. So any film is like Uniplan, and my example was about supporting some big projects. It was probably like social media or like social project. So they fundraise on the like activity of the project itself.
Mm.
So they
It's our discussion point that it's very difficult to crowdfund on the repeating process. It's I think it's like impossible to first campaign to crowdfund for if you said okay we crowdfund now and then we crowdfund again and again. It's crowdfunding. It's in classical crowdfunding with the start and it's difficult to adopt to this to process financing. It's better find another way like donation or.
But I think one way of approaching this is if you want to support new talent. That's the purpose.
Yes. Great.
Because one thing could be to make it a little bit into like more. I don't know how it would work. So I'm just making things up. But like a Belarus Got Talent thing. And okay, we found this person. Blah blah blah. You could support them going here. And instead of doing a festival, you would do some kind of chain of talent build-ups where each talent is one campaign, so that we really tap into this value of that it is entertainment that is your where was it? Here, that entertainment and curiosity builds up, so that you show one artist, do you want to see more? When we reach this goal, we will unveil who it is, or that it's masked before, and then it opens up if people fund or something like that. So that you use, maybe it's just an online festival instead of a physical festival.
Instead of what?
I mean, instead of doing a physical festival, it might be a festival that goes on YouTube, where you are releasing new artists if the campaign. You could do other, maybe you could try to twist the concept into something kind of attractive and fun.
Yeah, now
This is
something
too
for
complicated
year
way.
2016 we run all year long short clips, new name, put it somewhere next week.
And
Who vote for this? The most voters get
I think
then
because
transform voters for money givers.
yeah, and I think we can learn very much from Einstürzige Neubauten, a German industrial electro band. They were very early with crowdfunding. They 96 or something. They had a very nice site where you could see where they would tour and so on, but you could be part of their digital fan club, and then you paid a little fee to get in, and you could see their rehearsal live streamed from a little web camera, and if you were sort of this member, you could also, they put out that we are doing a new album. We have these 16 songs that we are looking at, but we want the album to be 12 songs. Which 12 can we put on the album? So they really created this involvement around, what is the album, what should be on, which is the order, can you help us on what the order of the songs should be? And it was really cool how they sort of used this digital technology very early on, really creative way. But that was only one band of the festival, but still.
One more question. What do you think about how successful it could be to launch few companies on different platforms at the same time?
I think, personally, I think it's hard. When I've been running those campaigns I've run, of course, I do other works at the side, of course. But when I've run them, it takes a bit of focus to do it. So to do different brands, if you are not fully focusing on, if you're not doing it, if you do it full time, you could maybe do multiple things. But I think it is. There could be reasons of why doing it on different platforms. I don't know how it is with receiving foreign payments and so on. I mean, that could be sensitive in Russia anyway, to receive foreign money to a campaign, depending on what the campaign is about. But then it could be interesting to maybe run a campaign if you have a multiple top market, you could run one in Germany and one in Belarus, for example. I don't know how can you receive foreign donations?
From Kickstarter?
No, on Talak.
It doesn't matter because it's between physical persons, so it's not about companies or organizations.
Okay, so it's easy to receive payment from
Yeah.
wherever. But then I don't see a reason why doing it on different platforms, really.
Because it's you have no reason because on a platform yeah, you would have a reason to put your project on different platforms if it will work just this way. You put on a platform and you receive money. So and it don't work this way. You need to put a lot of people on that, promote it, and it's about promoting your page. So just putting on different platforms, it gives you much more new people because it's about you, not a lot about platform to receive a lot of people. And and Kickstarter said that for most interesting projects, you can think about probably 10% of money that you can receive just because you put on a platform, or even less. So it wouldn't give you a whole sum. And what we are trying to do on Talaka, because we said we not just a crowdfunding platform where you put your
Project ideas.
projects and you receive money and you go away. We say that we create a community. So people who are looking on the platform all time, not just because someone put a platform. So we can say that our community can give you the first step, but to make it really successful, it's about you and your team to promote it and receive new audience.
There might be reasons. We helped the girl do a campaign. She wanted to tour in Germany. She's a singer-songwriter, Swedish singer-songwriter, and then we put it on a German platform because of the trust of the German audience. That if she would go, it would be less trustworthy for a German audience to go to a Swedish platform since she wanted to tour there. That might be a reason. But if you are doing something that is targeting a Minsk-based audience, you should of course use a Belarusian-based page because that can give some kind of trust. That you know that they are connected to, they cannot just run away with the money, whatever it could be. I think.
Yeah.
But in the case of this German, if you want to target a German audience, let's say that this system works well, you have good cases in Gomel, Minsk, Vitebsk, it works well, and then you say that I think we should run this in Poland as well. Then you should probably try to do a campaign on a Polish platform by using this case as a backdrop.
And may I ask just one simple question because I was late. The name of your crowdfunding platform?
It's called Crowd Culture.
Crowd Culture. Okay.
.eu or SE, depending on.
EU. Thank you.
And we have tried to run a Belarusian project actually. We didn't succeed very well. It was a clothes brand that wanted to sort of export things to Sweden. We thought it was a good idea, but I don't think the campaign had really the right twist. I am of the. I think it should have been more exotic, like exoticizing Belarus a little bit more. This was too normal. It was like yeah, but we are all normal. And then, well, yeah, we are normal. But I exotic would have worked easier, but maybe you don't want to make yourself exotic, so it's fine. But it was really nice.
You should say crazy Belarusian to promote them.
Yeah, but exactly. They didn't use Cyrillic letters, and I think Cyrillic letters is really cool for Swedish people. It's like, wow, different alphabet. It looks really funky. So I think that would have worked better.
A little bit personal question. What are you doing in Minsk?
So I'm here working on a board game
Oh,
about city management, we could say. How does it work when you manage a city? So it's about it's soon done. It's almost ready. Hopefully by the end of the month it will be ready.
it's here in Minsk produced.
Yeah, it will be downloadable. So it's you can just print it, and there are it's like a mix of a role play and a board game. So you play different political parties that is fighting over how to manage the city. So there are different ideas about what to do, and they have to agree upon how to do it.
Очень южно for Belarus.
Your next
Федеральной
step
стране.
is create civilization game. Civilized
Yes.
for Belarus. A specific regime.
Yeah, cool.
But it's about local management, and how to do it. It's not about bigger questions.
But you know that in Belarus we have no mayor of city. They are not elected. They are put from upper authority.
But this game is played on the constitution that was between 91 and 94. So it's a simulation game.
Back to future. Sometimes.
Nice. Just to mention.
How much is the budget of such kind of business? Board game?
Of the budget of that project?
Yeah, just an idea, just a rough idea.
I have to calculate a little bit. The thing is that we had the idea and presented it, and thought, wow, this is a really nice idea. And we did it within an organization, so that the budget came after. But let's say in total, I would roughly say somewhere between 7,000 and 10,000 euros. Roughly speaking. I'm not really sure. I don't know if that is a lot or a little, but
Yeah, well, just
the costs are mostly. There have been very many people involved doing different aspects of it, coming with input and feedback, and so there have been a little bit of traveling and so on. So that's what that costed mostly.
So if we have no more questions, we can drink more tea
Yeah.
and eat cookies.
It's called Falitovich, and